My name is József Garay, and I'd like to thank to the organizer and really great conference. I'm attending it the first time, and thanks for having me here. I'd like to say a few words about what brought me here, because I'm completely new in the field. I got a letter from Norman Cook late summer last year, and he was suggested I should come here because this group of people, scientists, much more open-minded than the rest of the physics community, and I should present my lattice model, lattice nuclear model, which we communicating back to more than a decade. I would say 2 decades with Norman. So a few words about lattice model, and I will go to my current work. Lattice model is started by Wigner and Pauling and then Norman Cook, and all of them expand the nucleus in a spherical way. They believe it's a lattice. In the lattice there are protons, neutrons, and they are in the crystal structure, like in a crystal structure. I added a little bit by saying that this lattice, face-center cubic, closed-packed arrangement, all of them contains tetrahedral and octahedral units, subunits. And if we want to expand this lattice, then we should expand either the tetrahedral or the octahedral. Tetrahedral has higher density, so I was trying with the tetrahedral. And by doing that, you can see it, helium, neon, it comes out very nicely. That was also by suggested Teller and Hofstad, they felt might be the nucleus should be built up from alpha particles, because the decay is many times alpha particle, and that fits to that kind of idea as well. If we look at quantum mechanics, the little dots here shows what the number would be, the sequence based on quantum mechanics. The difference is, if you look at the periodic table, you can get the number 2, 10, 18, 36, and I call it atomic number sequences. And if I do the mathematics, these atomic number sequences can be reproduced. That would be the equation. And since no one ever did this before, this could be published and was accepted by the Journal of Quantum Chemistry back to 2008. Neither of them other journal was accepted by any of the idea. They usually say this is like coincidence. I was calculating this coincidence. It should come out like 10 to the minus 16 probability or 10 to the minus 7. Other nuclear properties that we can explain, and I'm not going into it, may be important to comparing myself again from Norman. If you have this double tetrahedral nuclear model, then the fission, it comes out right away, falls out. So, taking a little detour again, I like to say something about the Bohr's planetary model, because that's important background. Bohr very successfully explained the emission absorption line of the hydrogen atom. And somehow the Physics Society completely accepted that without really evaluating, and challenging this model, even though we all know there are many pitfalls and discrepancies in this model. One of them rejects the validity of the classical laws of electromagnetism, intensity of the atom, which I think is not acceptable. So there are many additional problems. I will not go into this one. Jumping to the one that I suggest to improve the Bohr model, and the improvement would be the electron outside of the atom is a point charge. And when it gets close to the atom, it becomes a surface charge. I cannot tell why, but if I'm using this model, most of the properties of the atom can be explained, I would say, far more advanced proposed atomic model than the Bohr's model. So I was calculating the velocity of the propagating wave on the surface of this electron shell. And it comes out exactly the same as the Bohr model velocity of the orbiting electron. So I think it's pretty much the same. The only difference is it's not a point charge orbiting around the nucleus, but a wave propagating on the surface of this surface charge. The model explains many other features of the hydrogen atom as well. I'd like to just point it to one. Explains the emission and absorption of the photon. And if you have a standing wave, you would have no emission because it's complete interference. However, when you're jumping from one standing wave to the other standing wave, you have emission. And that's why we have this kind of spectrum that we observe. This is just one feature, and just showing it might be worth to take serious consideration this model. So learning about cold fusion and following normal limitation, I find that this electronic structure might be a good candidate, to explain the cold fusion, what this community actually observed. So I started a more systematic study, and I was choosing the palladium-deuterium system because it felt to me that's the most well mapped out experimentally. So I collected all of the conditions what required for the success to produce excess heat in the deuterium-palladium system. I felt from the publications this is well mapped out. I was talking to McCoubrey yesterday, and he was telling me, no, that still have some questions which you're unable to reproduce these experiments, even though you comply all of these conditions. So the conditions what I find to be necessary to have a successful experiment, the loading should be very, very slow, which is normal because palladium will expand, couple of 10%, I guess. So it will be cracks, and the DO2 should be pure, containing the least HO2. The loading of PD should be higher than 85. Peter was showing in his presentation there were barely successful experiments below 85. So almost all of the available space should be filled with deuterium. The other requirements, deuterium molecules should be present in the palladium deuterite. Presence of monovacancies higher than a threshold current density, that's also required. And I learned about the laser excitation enhanced the reaction, and especially 8.2, 5.1, and 20.8 terahertz frequencies which are very, good to initiate the reaction, even if otherwise it would not start it based on current and other. The initiated heat production remained even though these laser excitations were shut down. So the reaction can be enhanced by increased current density, temperature, application of the magnetic field. The other what I learned, the heat production is localized, and these local spots are associated with mini explosions. I'm listing the reference here. If it's not complete, I'm sorry about that. I completely new on the field, I just went through first time, practically. So what would be the requirements? I try to summarize. You need to have a vacancy in the lattice to have excess heat. It should be filled, the palladium, with higher percentage of deuterium than 85. And if this is true, then you have deuterium molecules in the vacancy if you go higher. Energy should exceed a threshold level, and certain vibrational frequencies can trigger the reaction. So these would be the two laser experiments and showing the excitation peaks. This related to lattice-related frequencies that was described by Peter Heitelstein, and this third one is still debated. There are proposals what might be, but it's not settled as far as I know. So put together these experimental things, I was thinking how could this reaction happen, and my suggestion is the following. You have a vacancy in the palladium. In that vacancy, you have a deuterium molecule, and that deuterium molecule gets excited, and the shielding of the electron halo allows a very close encounter of the two protons, and eventually, if the frequency is right, helium can be formed. So that would be the model in a nutshell. First, I was calculating the diatomic molecule. I thought it's a diatomic molecule, and we could get the frequency. But it's turned out if in the cavity you have a different situation, because the molecule hitting the wall all the time, and I came up with this model. There is the electron shell, and I put the electron shell the entire mass of the molecule, and if I do that, the frequency will come out pretty much the same as was detected by Letts and Hagerstein experiments. This is the latest version of their publication, and my calculation came out 2165 terahertz, based on pure simple vibrational model in the cavity. So I'm going through the theoretical expectation. As you all know, I guess, Heisinga came up with the free miracle that's supposed to be satisfied to any kind of theoretical model, and that would be much enhanced tunneling through the Coulomb barrier, suppressed PNT and N+3H pathway to make the helium 4 plus gamma reaction most dominant, and it has to be count to the disappearance of the 34 mega electron volt energy which is produced in this nuclear reaction. And I find many requirements in Storm's article, and he claims also, any successful theoretical model should be answered the following questions, which are: helium is generated without significant radiation. These effects occur either with light hydrogen or deuterium, and tritium is produced in the same environment as helium with no proton radiation. Helium-3 is not produced as a primary product, eliminating the P plus D fusion. Transmutation occurs with both light hydrogen and deuterium, and the reactions occur at special localized sites. So these are the requirements of any kind of theoretical model, and I have a first attempt to answer these problems. The Coulomb barrier can be get over relatively easy if this electron halo shares the repulsion of the protons. And that's allow a very close encounter of these two protons. Experiment shows that deuterium absorbed in metallic matrix strongly enhance the fusion reaction targeted by deuterium ion beams. And this is consistent with LENR, and it's known as electron screening puzzle, and it's published many of the accepted journals listed here, and there is no theoretical explanation at this point for that, and I think LENR is a good candidate to explain this process. So this is the three reaction, and that's what detected in the fusion process of deuterium in plasma and hot fusion. And that was, I think, a big objection. This too doesn't happen, because that's 50% and 50% probability to happen, and only 10 on -7, this third one might happen. And my suggestion, this is, in high energy physics. So in high energy physics, when the two deuteriums are hitting each other, they will be fragmented. So that's why you have tritium, you have helium-3, but if you have low energy and you put the two deuterium together, you should not have fragmentation, and you should form helium-4 directly. So this reaction, what is detected by many, many experiments, I think this is the right one to describe cold fusion, if I can say that. The other problem is how we produce 24 mega electron volt energy disappears. It's not disappears, actually, it's transferred to the lattice and observed as a heat, and many experiments show that the production of helium-4 is consistent with the produced heat. So this should be, a proof of that, that energy does not disappear. And Peter has the theory for this photon coupling, which I think it's quite good to explain, at least to a certain point, how this energy disappears. Outside experiments from the Leonard community is relatively low energy proton beams in PD fusion produce high energy electron emission instead of gamma ray. So that might be one of the explanations. LANR experiments also reported electron-mediated radiations. So it might be an electron radiation and somehow giving the energy to the photon. So this is what I already mentioned. The energy in LANR is not high enough to detach the proton. So it will be no fragmentation. Therefore, this reaction is extremely rare. So we should not expect that. Tritium is detected in LANR experiments only if the presence of hydrogen. So indicating that HD fusion is the one which produces the tritium. I was calculating the fundamental frequencies in vacancy and in diatomic vibration, not just for the deuterium molecule, but also for hydrogen deuterium and hydrogen molecule. And these are the frequencies, wave numbers, and the related activating temperature that came out from the calculation. So if we use these fundamental frequencies in experiment for hydrogen deuterium or hydrogen system, in the same way should initiate the reaction as in the deuterium system. So this calculated frequencies should not change regardless of the lattice. So you can do it into palladium, you can put it into nickel, and I think these frequencies should remain. The lattice-related frequencies, that the first two, if you might remember, those frequencies will change according to the lattice, because those are related to the lattice, but not the fundamental frequency of the vibration of a molecule. So in conclusion, the electron shielding the nucleus, which makes fusion possible at much lower energy than assumed by current establishment. So this would be the model. You need a vacancy, you need a deuterium molecule in that vacancy, and some energy which initiates this reaction. The most efficient if you apply exactly the vibrational frequency of this deuterium molecule in the cavity or vacancy. Some would use cavity. So the fusion occurs at low energies, therefore the reaction should be E plus E producing hydrogen 4, which I think is well demonstrated by many experiments. and the released energy is dissipates in the lattice as a heat. The fission and low energies can occur only if the molecule trapped in a vacancy or in a cavity. I used cavity to atmosphere was, suggesting that one. And the vibrational energy exceeds the threshold level. The reaction can be initiated or enhanced by the resonant frequency, which can be the fundamental frequency of the molecule in the vacancy of the lattice. But the calculated fundamental frequencies in the cavity vacancy for D2 molecule is 21.65 terahertz, consistent with experiments. The fundamental cavity vacancy has also been calculated for HD and H2, and these fundamental frequencies should be independent from the Hostig lattice, and the lattice-related frequencies should change in accordance to the Hostig lattice. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.